Who is the worst attention whore you've come across? Sister-in-law. At our wedding she did everything she could to steal attention away from her sister, my wife. She wore a dress that Shed had altered to be both low cut and short skirted. Then when no one was paying her attention kept accidentally dropping things, so she would bend over to pick them up. When her dad remarried she was telling people at the ceremony that she had cancer, but had come to terms with it. She didn't have cancer. My grandma has to make everything about her. Literally everything, no matter the person or situation. And if the convo switches to where it's not about her, she gets visibly annoyed, and you can see the gears turning in her head as she tries to figure out how to get the conversation back onto her. She constantly retells stories she's already told 1000 times back from when she was younger, if she can't think of anything recent. If I have to ever again hear about how she was prom queen back in 1951, or valedictorian of her 10-person 8th grade class, or how whenever she goes anywhere, everyone just loves her, she literally says, and you know, they just love me all the time, I'm gonna lose it. My fiance has been my best friend since we were kids. Once, in high school, he was dating a girl who decided that, after scaring the shit out of him by trying to cuff him to the bed against his will, she was going to threaten to kill herself if he dumped her. About 10 years later I ran into her at a party. She was there with her husband and infant son, not the kind of party you take a baby to, but okay. She proceeded to tell me how they never technically broke up since being 15 years old. His answer to "if you dump me, I'll kill myself" was to just stop talking to her. And because of that, they were technically still together, and she was cheating on him with her husband, making her son a bastard. She was 100% serious, and she also told me to tell him she wanted an apology. This was in front of a lot of very stunned people. There's a girl in my college classes who claims her dad owns a huge soccer team, but doesn't know the name. She's dating one of the LA Lakers, but can't give his name out, but she is also talking to someone who's in the NFL to keep her options open. She says her dad works at a local steel factory and has no idea where his extra money comes from because he gives her hush money, then called another girl out in class for lying to fit in. I knew a girl in college whose father died at least 6 times over the span of one semester. Like, we would be hanging out, and then she gets a call, and then she drops the phone, her eyes go red, and the waterworks start. My roommate's cat died last week. When she told her coworkers, one lady proceeded to start telling a story about a cat she kinda owned that never even lived with her, that died 5+ years ago. She got so worked up that she started crying, and the entire office started consoling the coworker instead of my roommate whose cat had died the day before. Unbelievable. There was a girl who used to be part of this group of friends that I saw on the odd occasion when I was a teen. I only met her twice, but on both occasions she started to full on sing super loud whenever everybody else was talking and she was not involved in the conversation. There was this British TV show about bad moms, and one of them made her daughter dress way older than she looked. Daughter wanted to wear a t-shirt and jeans to go out to eat. Mom made her wear tights, miniskirt, boots, tight tee, sleeveless overcoat, and a boatload of jewelry. Kid basically looked like she was in a Disney show and would make her daughter randomly sing and do her cheer routine in public because you never know who's watching. People get discovered on the streets every day. Anyone who checks in at the hospital on Facebook. When I was teaching 2nd grade, there was a letter from a parent in one of my students' homework folder. It said how there were too many kids in the class, her daughter hated school, everybody bullies her, that I was too hard on her, that I was negative for sending test scores home, that I had a preference for some kids. The list went on and on. It devastated me. I actually started crying and had to keep it together. Her daughter was very quiet and sweet and never complained about anything, so I was shocked she was so unhappy. When it was lunchtime, I called the mom and said I got the note, and she said, "Oh, never mind the note. I was just mad at my ex. You're doing a great job. Loves you and loves school." Like, what? Just to cover myself, I gave the letter to my principal with a note about the phone call just in case anything else came up. The principal called the mom and asked if she wanted her daughter moved to another room, and the mom said she was totally happy with me. Fortunately, she never did anything like that school year, but fuck, what the hell. There was a girl in my college that constantly would say shit. During orientation she told people she was recovering from brain cancer, didn't happen, and was partially deaf. She wasn't. She then found out my friend had epilepsy, so she started doing these exaggerated tremors. She then would fake seizures all the time for all the years she was there, which was a pain there, but because I would have to treat them like real ones. She did it once during a power outage for the most attention possible. She did it so often that once 911 hung up on someone calling it in because they knew it was her. Edit. Since I keep getting comments about 911 hanging up, I feel like I should mention that the person who called was also a dispatcher. Back in early elementary school during art I used to talk shit about my own art to get a lot of compliments from other students. My teacher noticed it and told me to stop. My high school ex posted a picture of a knife to his wrist on Twitter after I broke up with him for cheating on me and being pathological liar. He told everyone to message me and to talk to him. I cut off all contact or he was going to kill himself. I hate that I was young and dumb, so it worked and we ended up back together. Girl in college would constantly try to get attention. Oh, my boyfriend dumped me, my new guy beats me, I'm gay, I'm not gay, I own a signed Kurt Cobain bass guitar, but by far the worst one, I was raped, and the guy got sent to prison. Gave people a paper cut out of a rape case, but it looked odd, so I tracked it down using the Google and found she had altered it, and it was some other girl. We all cut ties with her after that. Fucking psycho. A lady that I work with is the biggest one-upper I have ever met. In April I had major surgery to remove half of my digestive system and was given a lot of attention from our concerned coworkers. She was not happy because she wasn't the center of attention anymore. Well, she found out she needed to have a DNC, outpatient procedure to cauterize her uterus, and you're awake for the whole thing. She came into work, she decided to milk it for all she could. And when she came into work the next day she was distraught over the fact no one came to check up on her the night before and wouldn't talk about anything but her recovery. By the end of the week she was telling people she was recovering from cancer surgery. In fact, she still complains that she is recovering from it, and this happened back in April. She also told me, unsolicited of course, that the reason she didn't come see me while I was in the hospital was because her mom had died in a hospital 13 years ago and she is still grieving, and going to a hospital would make her grieving process start all over again. I actually feel bad for her. Oh, I've got a good one. I went to uni with her, in no particular order. She was raped repeatedly by an ex-boyfriend who kept on breaking into her room at night. When we reported it to campus security, they never saw anyone enter her room on security cameras. Same ex carved slut into her chest with a knife. Never saw any scarring or evidence of any sort. Same ex spray painted slut onto the outside of her window. She lived on the 4th floor of a tower block. Whilst traveling back home for Christmas she fell over, knocked herself out, came to in the hospital, was discharged and beat the train home she missed because of being knocked out. That particular train journey takes 3 hours. Whilst at home for Christmas her dad kept on taking LSD and asking her to drive him to places in his van, even though she's never had a driving lesson. Was ran over repeatedly by a mutual friend. She just walked into his car. Claimed to be the biggest drug dealer on campus, but no one ever once saw her stash. Can speak 7 languages fluently, but she can never remember which languages they are. There are so many of these. It was really sad and pathetic. Alright. In high school, my buddy was banging this girl who told everyone she got shot. I asked her to see the bullet wound, and she pulled her shirt down a little so I could see her shoulder. You know what was fucking covering her wound? One single ace band-aid. Edit. Bonus story. So she told my buddy he got her pregnant. Condom did rip. So believable. She told him she wanted an abortion and needed $60 for it. He gave it to her, but I asked her how she was going to get it for $60. She said she was going to the hospital with a fake ID. Edit 2. I forgot the worst of all. She was a loud and proud juggalette. Knew a girl in high school that claimed to have did, so you never knew who you were talking to. It was literally a "that wasn't me, that was Patricia" situation. We all knew she was faking because there was always holes in her stories. Mixing up details with the different personalities on top of a new character every week to blame her actions on. We just gave her the benefit of the doubt. 10 years later she never mentions any of them again. Oh yeah, and she told me she as a 10th grader got paid to train horses to do tricks for like circus shit. Then forgot about it the next day I brought it up. As in cringy ex-horse Gerald, this one was the worst lie of all. My ex-sister-in-law made up a story that she had cancer 3 separate times to try to get sympathy/attention. A little touchy, but here goes nothing. My brother was in a toxic relationship. He was physically and mentally being abused. Not sexually. He did manage to get his abusive girlfriend pregnant. It got to a point where he was actually crying because he just needed to come home with me to our mom. That was the last straw for me. So I said fuck it, come with me. So he grabbed his stuff and we literally ran from her. She was throwing his stuff out the door and screaming. We kept running. But then she yelled, "If you don't come back right now, I'm going to stick a knife in my pregnant belly." I wish I was making this up. We of course ran back to prevent this. So yeah, that